and here to power up your revisions. And today we specifically talk about the do's and the don'ts. I mean, that's something incredibly important. And let's have one quick revision as we've been very active with the Brahma Muhurat batch. So today we are here at the evening to power up your revisions for the NET JRF preparations. And here we are live with the NETure batch, and we'd also pull in, we'll wait for the students to join since it's the golden hour to prepare for NET examinations. So you'll, never get this kind of a chance also to cater to your NET revisions, your NET preparations. So we are here, and yes, Advik has joined us. Wonderful evening, Advik. So we are here revving up English language, and we are at the NETure batch. And thank you very much for reaching out, Advik. So what we are up to is that basically we are talking about English literature right now, and our main forefront is the students of NET, and also all the aspirants of English literature who loves the subject. And even we'll be talking a lot of literary terms today. So the book that I'm reading is, I have this wonderful book with me, this particular book. So it's called The Literary Terms and the Literary Theory. So we'll surely read a part of it, like basically, about literary terms. And I do have my notes ready, and I believe in thorough writing also. So I have my pen and paper ready too. And I guess let's revise it. Let's have one particular, one productive hour. So we'll also be covering the A to Z of literary terms, and also certain do's and don'ts about the NET examination, that what basically has to be at the fore of this coveted examination called the NET. And we have also started with the offline batch. So the main idea of the offline batch, so just let's begin, because I guess the time really, slips by. We'll hardly, have a track of it. So make sure that you're basically revising it on a daily basis, right? Thank you very much, Advik. Thank you for all the encouragement, and students, thank you very much for keeping this comment section really lively and interactive. So you can keep interacting there, and there are more students joining in. So thank you very much for joining this stream, and let's also pull in. And if there's anything that you need to ask, you have a question, you can type it in the comment section. And let's also discuss about the do's and the don'ts of the NET exam. Basically, like what are the main exams that we really need to cater to. So I guess first and foremost is chalking out an action plan. Plan of action is really a must. If you are, all set to crack an exam, you're preparing for an exam, so you should have a thorough plan. As we also did the particular syllabi video on the NET exam the other day. You can also check in. There's a playlist, a dedicated playlist on our channel. It's called NETure. So that's the name of the batch. So you just be there, you tune in to the NETure, and just see about the NET examination. And one more thing is that you also have to be aware about what are the things that you do not want to do. Like you'll be preparing for your English literature, and English literature is a vast ocean in itself. So you also need to see that what are the key aspects that you really need not to focus on a lot more. You have to be aware about the literary trends going on. You have to be updated about all, maybe the winners of the Booker Prize, the Nobel Prize, and all these aspects. You have to brush up your paper one really thoroughly. So this will really help you. And even since the previous years, like the a recent particular trend of the NET exam is there's been a lot of chronological questions. So in the chronological questions, you basically are asked about the time that which age does this particular work belongs to, or which work was published first, which was published later, or arrange the work in order of their the ascending order, the descending order of their publication, which work was published when and things. So whenever you're preparing and planning, so please make sure you are already, preparing in a chronology. That maybe if you're starting with the Old English period, so you just go all in and study and prepare about the Old English period. So this will really help you, this will just ensure that you get better with the preparations, with the preparation part, because I guess this would be something that will really, power up your preparations. So let's also see and let's keep revising from our book, and let's see what particular term we get onto first and foremost, right? So we have like black comedy. So first and foremost, I'm really keen to ask you about black comedy. Yes, anyone amongst you know what black comedy is? Any specific individual, if you just want to kind of pull in and you want to give us an insight about it? Black comedy. We have like one of the students who's joined in. So any clue what black comedy is? Maybe you can also give an inference in the comment section. Basically, what is black comedy? Let's just say something different. And so it's a term in translation. And okay, it's Advik has a special request to talk about gravitation. Yes, Advik, for that we do have like a forum called the Brahm Muhurat batch where we tune early morning, and I just hadn't been able to make the video in the morning lately. Had been a bit caught up with things, but yes, we'll be talking about gravitation too, and we'll be talking about it in the greater detail, like the force that brings everything down, and that has kept the planets aligned in the right way. So yes, I guess gravitation is also something we can touch upon as a topic. So if I ask you, Advik, what gravitation is, what would be your answer to this? You can type in on the comments, and we've been doing gravity for about maybe more than a week now. It's been a good time. We've been studying gravitation. So, what gravitation is, Advik? We need to answer, and all the other students can also join in into this discussion. So, what's gravitation? You have to answer it, and you can use the comment section as your answer sheet at the moment, and you can just put forth your views about gravitation. I'm waiting for it, and since then we're also talking black comedy here. So a bit of insight about black comedy quickly. That the term is a translation of of a comedy noir, which we owe to Jean Anouilh, 1910 to 88, who divided his plays on the 1930s and 1940s into pieces roses and pieces noirs. It is more than likely that the term also is, in part, derived from Andre Breton's anthology De la Humor Noir, 1940, which is concerned with the humorous treatment of the shocking, horrific, and the macabre. So, black comedy is a form of drama which displays a marked disillusionment and cynicism. It shows human beings without convictions and with little hope, regulated by fate or fortune or incomprehensible powers. In fact, human beings in an absurd predicament. At its darkest, such comedy is pervaded by a kind of sour despair. We can't do anything, so we may as well laugh. The wit is mordant and the humor sardonic. So yeah, there's a lot about black comedy here, and basically a treatment. Comedy is generally a very clean genre, but it's something that also talks about you know it talks about this notion of having an air of this particular thing, treating comedy in a very dark way, in a somber way, like Here it said, humorous treatment of the shocking, horrific, and the macabre. Maybe if we kind of defy a genre which is not actually comedy or which is not a matter to laugh about. Maybe like dark comedy, kind of very close to it is black comedy. So here, every object in the universe attracts the other object with a force called gravitation. A very wonderful answer, Advik, and you're aware about gravity. So, anyone else would like to pull in about gravity and would like to, put forth their views here in terms of gravitation? So you can always come up and answer and respond here if you join us. And you can please share this to our committee groups also. And Advik, I would do the special request that you put this into the Palace of Words group as well. So here the SI unit also Advik has mentioned that Newton meter square kg square inverse. So very good, Advik. You're well read, and I guess that's good. It's about the current time of preparation where we can prepare. So it's so good, that you are coming up. And okay, so Advik, what is like the gravitational constant's value and how is it represented? Then that's the next question. And you can also have questions here. Let's make it a very interactive forum since Advik is an active one here right now. So you can also come in and kind of pool it in here about gravitation. And we also have curated a cyclist group these days. Advik and me, we are into mountain biking, hardcore biking. So you can also join us around Shimla, like if you are also core bikers and you love the wheels. So feel free to join us in the adventures, post our classes, post our sessions. After reading mathematics and sciences, we go on the mountain biking expeditions. So that is one part Advik is really active about these days. So feel free to join us on our mountain biking expeditions and here also in a deliberation and discourse about sciences. So here, yes, Advik, I'm waiting for your response about the universal gravitational constant. And yeah, let's always interact at this hour also. Like early morning is really important. And I promise you my consistency early morning. But I guess this is also a very good time where we can connect. And I guess the world is online at the moment. So the right people will surely tune in. And I guess, world is busy scrolling reels and, going through memes and sharing it amongst their friends. But I believe that basically we can always tune in. And here, yes, Sadvik, you have a question like the gravitational constant G here, the universal gravitational force. And you've asked for the characteristics of the universal gravitational constant. As it said, it's a constant value. First and foremost, we have to relate to it. And it's, universally applicable and it is always the part of that gravitational equation. So, what it why it fall inside the earth? Okay, basically, yes, why everything is just falling down, falling below. As it said, Newton discovered gravity, and it's also said, a very wonderful quote about gravity is that everyone saw the apple felt, but only Newton asked why. So it's basically, operational that ways that Earth exerts a gravitational force upon all the objects on the other planets also, on the human beings also. So that is why we are centered, as the sun exerts the gravitational force towards all the planets. So universal constant is applicable everywhere. So it would be the part of all the gravitational equations, all the gravitational planes, all the gravitational constants. Like you cannot, gravity cannot exist without the universal gravitational constant. Why does an ice cube float on water? That's a very good kind of question, Advik. So the ice cube floating on water basically could be, a phenomenon as to, ice is lighter as compared to water. So that is why, it just floats. And even as ice is concerned, so it is like, condensed H2O, as water is, in the liquid form, and the lighter solids always float on the surface. So that is why ice will always be floating on the water due to its, lighter mass. basically, and it's condensed form also, because in the ice the molecules are more tightly packed as compared to water. Water is again a liquid, and the liquids are far apart. So all right, Rick, and keep asking these inspiring questions, and you can always kind of pull in and give your opinion about the same also. And I guess, yeah, uh, tomorrow, I guess, let's get done with gravity. We'll be studying our mathematics and sciences, and then we have a cycle ride to go on to as well. So let's keep doing that. Let's keep being at it. And here are the literaties of the hour, and I guess you're the only one here at the moment, Advik. So thank you for tuning in. And yeah, let's study, because this is a fun way of studying, and let's just have this forum on a daily basis now. I'll try to connect twice every day, like once in the morning and once in the evening, because I'm really loving the response that I get in my live streams. And recently, I also did my 200 plus subscribers celebration, so I was the happiest on getting the good amount of love from the YouTube community. And I guess, yeah, let's build up to a very safer space for students also, where we can, in a fun way, learn, discuss some topics, and make it a very interactive kind of a forum with this expectation of more students to join in. So thank you for being a regular, Advik, in all the Palace of Words ventures, all the educational endeavors. And I guess, this enthusiasm will surely take you places and surely fetch you great marks also in the times to come. So yes, I guess let's now wait further for the students to tune in about literature. So let's see how far we'll go, and let's have one literary marathon about learning the literary terms. So basically, there's a lot more to read about the black comedy. So here basically just shows that black comedy is a form of drama which displays a marked disillusionment and cynicism. It shows human beings without convictions and with little hope, regulated by fate or fortune, or incomprehensible powers. In fact, human beings in an absurd predicament, at its darkest, such comedy is pervaded by a kind of sour despair. We can't do anything, so we may as well laugh. The wit is mordant and the humor is sardonic. So density does ice have? So basically, yes, Advik, you're back and you're asking about what density does the ice have. So it depends on the chunk of the ice, it depends on the surface, but ice is less dense as compared to water. So my exact answer to this would be, ice has a lesser density than water, and it is buoyant. Buoyancy is the ability of the particular elements to float on a liquid. So it is the buoyancy that ice have, the buoyant force, which keeps it floating on water. So this is about ice. And yes, so basically density is lesser than water, so that's why it is just floating. And buoyancy is important from your examination point of view also. It's mostly asked what is buoyancy, the ability of the elements to float in water. All right, Advik, you look forward to an amazing evening. Good night, and let's connect tomorrow. And thank you very much for tuning in with all these wonderful questions. And thank you for making it one holy hour of revision. And you enjoy your evening, and someone else have joined us. So welcome to the stream of Palace of Words. So we are catering to the UGC net preparations in general. And I guess we are also talking literary terms right now. I'm reading from this one book at the moment. It's called The Literary Terms and Literary Theory, the Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory. So, lot at our hands to, delve into, and also doing some do's and don'ts basically. That's there in our examination preparation, that, what are the things that we need to cater to. So that's extremely important, I guess. And this endeavor of ours is especially to, have a unison with the students, and also to have some quality notes elsewhere, because the content would always be there, forever. to be flourished and showcased to our particular, you know, students, to the community of literature, the literati, be it, the NETure, be it certain coveted examinations. And let's just, connect in, and let's keep up this enthusiasm, and let's also keep this literary frame alive, that there are many students preparing, and I guess everyone should get to the promised land, everyone should attain their JRF. So this is our inception of the NETure batch. So we'll be dealing further about it. So there's this term called codex, CODEX. So as a literary term, let's just see, what does codex basically mean. So the term derives from the Latin codex, a block of wood split into leaves or tablets and then covered with wax for writing on. When paper and parchment replaced wood, the word was retained for a book. Thus, a volume of manuscript, the Versailles Book, which contains several important Anglo-Saxon works, is a famous example. So that's exactly about codex. Codicology is the study of the manuscripts or the volumes. So all these things, and I guess every day let's keep touching literary terms. Let's be regular, because that's what the preparation will demand. The preparation always demanded regularity. It demands consistency. So the more consistent we are in attaining our goal to get the JRF, the better it'll be for all of us. So let's do that. Let's keep it, and let's kind of make it real. Let's make it more important, because the methodology has to be worked upon. So I'm also like a mentor trainer. I undertake trainings for the mentors too, and I believe first and foremost, the way we teach has to really be nurtured and developed, so that we can carve like some benefit. We can carve something beneficial to the learners, to the students. That's extremely important, and doing it on a daily basis. And thank you very much for tuning in. We do have like one visitor, and okay, one visitor just came in and just drifted by, but it's good, to have you on board, to get inspired and have like an astute conversation, because that is really the flair of literature. And let's just turn a random page, and we can actually see what we have in store. So maybe some literary terms we can talk to, like narrator. So any clue about what a narrator is? Like, narrator has been deeply discussed here in this book, like a dictionary of literary terms and literary theory. So it's basically like, it's a reference book here, an important reference book. So we can just discuss it. We can discuss it deeply. So here, okay, let's talk about narrator also. That basically, what does a narrator mean? What narrator is. So like Plato and Aristotle distinguished three basic kinds of narrator. So there are three narrators, as defined by Plato and Aristotle. So the speaker or poet or any kind of a writer who uses his own voice. So this is one form of a narrator. Then the other is one who assumes the voice of another person or persons and speaks in a voice not his own, a mouthpiece basically. It's also called a mouthpiece. And the third one is the one who uses a mixture of his own voice and that of others. So, out of the thousands of examples available to illustrate the three voices, the following will serve. In his poem, The Statue, the poet John Berryman speaks throughout in his own voice. In The Prisoner of Chillon, Byron assumes the voice of Francois de Bonavard, who was imprisoned in the castle of Chillon in the 16th century. A good example of the combination of three voices can be found in Paradise Lost. Milton begins in his own voice in the first person to invoke the heavenly muse. In line 34, Book 1, the impression is that the muse, that is the Holy Spirit, responds to Milton's formal invocation, thus beginning the main narrative. When Satan first speaks, the line 84, the third voice is introduced. Thereafter, each different character has his own voice, though all, as it were, are Milton's. At the beginning of the book 3, Milton draws breath and uses his own voice again. So, anyone telling a story may begin as narrator by using his own voice, then introduce a narrator who tells the story, in which there are characters who in turn have their own voices and who in their turn, of course, may narrate. Potentially, the progression or the regression is infinite. Many novelists have employed this technique. One of the most adept being Joseph Conrad. So, there are the three types of narrators that we have come to know of, and I guess I do read for pleasure. But students, whenever you're there and whenever you're attending these sessions, make sure that you always have your pen and paper ready with you and you're writing it on pen and paper. That's extremely important. So always ensure that you have your pen and paper with you and you're taking notes, because writing is magical. I repeat that in all my discourses, all my live streams. So please take good notes. This will really help you, with your pen and paper ready and with you taking some notes. You'll benefit more from these sessions, and let's value time. I guess one magical aspect is time. You have your exam in December, so let's value it, right? Let's value time and let's keep taking notes. So let's do that, let's do that more often. And I guess with this practice of ours, we'll surely, let's make it one holy hour, like whenever we are connecting on our live streams, be it our Brahmahurat batch in the morning, be it, the batch Parvatarohi that's very soon to be starting, and be it the nature batch. So let's, make sure that you get something out of this stream and it's worth your time, right? So with this, let's get further ahead and let's just turn a random page, and here basically this is a very innovative page, and here this a literary term called free association. So any clue basically what free association is? What do you mean by free association? I have like a student who's joined, and you can just comment it down in our comment box also. That's your answer sheet currently. So do you know about free association? Free association, what it can be. By the name itself, it's a very liberating kind of a name, like, it's a free term very much. Does it talk about freedom? Does it talk about something, that is maybe free, or that's something, what is it talking about? Any clue? Anything about free association? All right. Let me just read it through, and let me just, decipher what free association is. So, a term commonly used in psychology, but which has achieved some currency in literary criticism and theory. The point involved is that a word or idea acts as a stimulus or trigger to a series or sequence of other words or ideas which may or may not have some logical relationship. Some writing looks like free association. Much writing that looks like it is probably the result of carefully thought out and contrived arrangement. In his Ulysses in 1922, James Joyce was one of the principal pioneers of this kind of technique. In the following passage, for instance, words and images are freely associated. Let's read the passages of this very wonderful novel. Ineluctable modality of the visible, at least that if no more, thought through my eyes, signatures of all things I'm here to read, sea spawn and sea wrack, the nearing tide, that rusty boot, snot green, blue silver, rust, colored signs, limits of the diaphane, but he adds in bodies. Then he was aware of them, bodies before of them, colored. How? By knocking his sconce against them. Sure, go easy. While he was and a millionaire. Maestro di color ci shano. Limit of the diaphane in. Why in? Diaphane. A diaphane. If you can put your 5 fingers through it, it is a gate. It is not a door. Shut your eyes and see. So it's also saying to see the stream of consciousness. I guess, stream of consciousness is one beautiful narrative, and my upcoming book is written in the same technique. It's called Bolivar to Power. So, Power is the title of my book, and Power is also basically, the Palace of Words Educational Reserve. So, do read my book. It will be out sooner. And, free association basically is, letting it all free and maybe, having some, this where the words and images are freely associated. That kind of an instance. So, let's read it, let's make it a forum where you can very quickly recapitulate your literary terms, where we can discuss the progress of your syllabus also, and where we can, create a community that has a common goal. Let's do that. Let's make it the best. Let's make it the best in the world and the most fruitful community where eventually we are learning, we are getting better. Like maybe if even we cover 5 to 10 literary terms, so that's a win-win situation. We've got nothing to lose. So that should be the goal mostly. And I guess with time, more and more people would be joining. So yeah, let's make it happen. Let's just make it one important exercise. So let's just begin, and even let's just I've put that on my status, and I'm sharing it to the greatest extent possible. So let's just expect it to create a stir where people can join in, people can learn, people get better with this aspect. So yeah, let's do that, and let's be really active on our bit. So octameter. Any clue about what octameter is? So yes, let's just see what octameter can be. Basically, a line of 8 feet, rare in classical verse, rarer still in the English verse. Swinburne's March provides instances. So, in the opinion of some, does pose the Raven. Tennyson attempted octameters in the Frater Eve at Quail. So here we are reading an octameter. So row us out from Desenzano to your Simeon row. So they rowed and there we landed, O Venusta Sirmio, there to me through all the groves of olive in the summer glow, there beneath the Roman ruin, where the purple flowers grow. Came that eve at Quail to the poet's hopeless woe, tenderest of Roman poets, 1900 years ago. Frater Eve at Quail, as we wandered to and fro, gazing at the Lydian laughter of the Garda lake below. Sweet Catulus's all but island, olive, silvery Sirmio. It can be seen and heard at once what a difficult meter it is to manage because of the length of line. The meter is stochaic. Incidentally, the poem also illustrates the use of the monorhyme. Alright, so that's what octameter is. Got a clue about octameter? Students, the kings and queens of Palace of Words? Alright, that is good basically. And literature is vast, it is diverse, and let's basically, step by step build up our palace of words, and let's just create this idea of loving literature for a lifetime, so that you can come in, you can pull in to literature, and you can mostly see, and you can just go ahead and get started with it. That is the main idea basically. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's go all in. Let's study literature. Let's be very specific for our action plan, and let's realize this JRF goal for all of you in December 2025. And still a long way to go. We have just hopped on to August, so you have a lot of time. We have August, September, October, November, and December too. So 4 months are a lot of time. If we'll be preparing with all our heart, so JRF is going to be ours for sure. It's going to be a certainty. So let's go all in. Let's work at it with all the might, with all the heart, and let's make it possible. Let's just make it a reality in front of our eyes. So let's just do that. Let's weave magic. Let's make it happen, because I guess that's the deal mostly. That's the least that we can do. And also give your equal time to paper one also. Paper one is something very significant. Paper one will really help you. So paper one, deserves all your heart, and paper one deserves the right kind of intention. So just get into it. Give it all your heart, give it all your might, and you are bound to succeed. And let's get into some other, important literary terms. So, Lysian. Lysian is the term here. So, any clue what a Lysian is? Any idea what Lysian can mean, So, it basically is binding, binding or joining, formed by the lyre to bind. In the 17th century, a dramatic principle which required that the parts of a play be linked by various kinds of liaison, like a presence, a character remaining from the preceding scene. It's the view of which church a character entering sees another about to leave, and vice versa, and a brute, a noise on stage which brings in a character in search of an explanation, and the discourse when a character is hiding later speaks. So basically, that's what a liaison is, basically binding and creating that connect in theater, like what things are up to and what's happening there. So that's what liaison is in English literature. That's a literary term for you all. So thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to the NETure batch of Palace of Words. We do have a visitor. So thank you very much for sparing your valuable time, and thank you very much to join our stream here. So we're just preparing for NET English Literature, and we are trying to mostly cater to this. And yes, 11:30 is the deadline given to me by Advik, I guess, to sleep at this due time. And yes, Advik, let's see how the stream goes basically. Thank you very much for tuning in time and again. And I'm also trying to create a stir and promotion about our offline batches here, and even the students who have to study online. So I'm trying to cater and reaching out to them as well. So yes, we have to be well rested for a brighter day tomorrow, and also I guess you are much more excited about the cycle ride also to come. So yes, I'll ensure that I'm well rested, and I'm just taking some notes, and let's see. I guess I'll take few of the answers also. So yeah, great, Advik, and that is amazing. And any other questions that you have, Advik, since you have joined in here, and you're the only one here right now. So that's so kind of you. So any question that you have in store right now, anything that you have to ask about maybe English or sciences or mathematics in general, you can pull in that question on the comment section. And I guess, yeah, let's prepare. And even a request from you is please get your notebook now onwards to the class, and let's keep taking good notes and be well rested for now. Also, yeah, you've had a big day, and we've had an eventful one today. So yes, be thoroughly well rested. Tomorrow we have a bigger day, and we have to seize it. So just be relaxed, and hold on to the enthusiasm, hold on to the excitement of discovering new trails on your mountain bike. Let's make it happen. So great, Advik. All right, then carry on with this beautiful evening, and we are just reading literature. And yes, so Advik, what a metaphor is. If very quickly you can give us an insight about metaphors since you're here in the stream. So, your literary devices are the most important, and I'm just reading like a book which has all the literary terms and the literary theory in it. So, a big chunk, it's a voluminous book. It's a good, rare, old edition having it all. So, let me just, chalk out a metaphor for you real quick, and let me read from it. What metaphor exactly is, right? So here it has like lot, and metaphor is again a direct comparison basically. So metaphor or metonymy, it's also called metonymy here. So first and foremost, let's talk metaphor. It's Greek, like carrying from one place to another. So metaphor is a figure of speech in which one thing is described in terms of another. The basic figure in poetry, a comparison is usually implicit, whereas in a simile it is explicit. There are several metaphors in these lines from the beginning of the R.S. Thomas's Song of the Years Turning. So Shelley dreamed it, now the dream decays. And here I'm reading this to you, and you just have to kind of, you know, read about it. So here, metaphor is an Argentine manufacture of the road. Okay, so it's a metaphor in English literature basically that I'm asking you here, Atvik. So here you have to identify the metaphors. It's a figure of speech in which one thing is described in terms of another. And the basic figure in poetry, a comparison is usually implicit, whereas in simile it is explicit. There are several metaphors in these lines from the beginning of R.S. Thomas's Song at the Year's Turning. So it just says, Shelley dreamed it, now the dream decays, the props crumble, the familiar ways are stale with tears trodden underfoot, the heart's flower withers at the root. Bury it, then in history's sterile dust, the slow years shall tame your towny lust. So these are the poems, and Advik, this is about English literature. literature. So here, basically, let's see and identify the metaphor in these lines. Shelley dreamed it, now the dream decays, the props crumble, the familiar ways are stale with tears trodden underfoot. The heart's flower withers at the root. Bury it, then in history's sterile dust, the slow years shall tame your towny lust. So very beautiful lines here. And still with tears trodden underfoot, heart's flower withers at the root. Heart's flower is a metaphor here. And yes, so here we have like a particular gentleman joining here. So Mr. Christian is here, and all well, all great. Thank you very much for tuning into our stream. And we're just discussing English literature. And I've started up with a NETure batch at Palace of Words. So Palace of Words basically is an e-school. It's a digital school, and I also cater to offline centers in Shimla, Solan, and Chandigarh. So we've started up a net batch, and it's called NETure. So the idea is to crack JRF in December 2025 for all the students, and so that is great. And I guess yeah, I do miss you as well, and it's the good old nostalgia hits me. So it's good to have you here, Krishna Bhai. It's really amazing to have you here, and it's been a while, of course. And do visit our center. We are based in Sanjoli. We are based in Delhi also, and it'll be amazing having you. And let's collaborate soon. And yes, so what's up, Krishna ji? What's the greatest? What you're up to? I'm keen to have vis-a-vis with you and have a word with you. So it's great that you could connect, and it would be amazing, to have you. And hope all's well in your life, and life has been treating you divinely all this while. That is my prayer and the wish, and hope all's well in your world, Krishna Bhai. Oh, it really means a lot. Thank you very much for the blessings. It is really amazing. It's really, filled with bliss, and more power to you always. You keep getting better, and do keep showering your love upon us, and do keep sharing this with the right. So just keep at it. And it's so good, via the digital medium we are getting to connect. So that's so nice and kind, and thank you for sticking around for so long. And we're surely meeting soon. So it's good, I guess this digital medium is the best. We also get to connect with the right kind of people, with the right kind of mindsets. So that's again a breath of fresh air. And thank you very much to add, the fuel to this literary vibe and the literary air. So yes, let's keep getting further ahead. And there are different kinds of metaphors also now. Organic metaphor is there. There's a telescope metaphor, tenor, and the vehicle. So very deep discussion about metaphors. So yeah, let's keep at it basically. And then we have the metaphor and metonymy. Like there's also a figure of speech or a literary device called metonymy. So let's read further, what metonymy is, not we'll just get better. Basically, after reading it, we'll just, get an idea about what it is, right? So yeah, let's do that. Let's read it. So, a theory of binary opposition propounded by Roman Jacobson 1896 to 1982 in two aspects of language and two types of phasic disturbances, published in 1956. Jacobson uses the distinction developed elsewhere between the two axes of language, syntagmatic and paradigmatic. So here it's about two languages now in general, and here, thank you very much. Krishna Bhai, you have a wonderful message that your smile means a lot to me after so many years. Take care and keep teaching English literature. Thanks a ton. Thank you for these words of value. It has really lightened up my evening. Thank you very much. So, thank you for all the love. It is my fuel. It keeps, getting me better. It keeps me, growing and glowing. So, I guess it calls for a meetup real soon. Let's just connect, let's just connect at the earliest, and we'll surely kind of get ahead. We'll, go and just, meet for sure. Let's, kind of go ahead and meet, and then we'll, keep at it basically. And yes, okay, so that's so good here. And you do keep embracing and celebrating life. All the good wishes to you, all the great success to you, and a very happy August. And have an incredible year ahead. And yeah, let's keep connected. Let's be in touch. So, this will be nice and amazing to stick around. And I guess, yeah, it's always nice and pleasure to meet an old friend and a dear friend. Thank you very much for being so good all this while. So, it really matters. It's really amazing. And now about metonymy. So basically, it's about the types of languages, the two axes of language, syntagmatic and paradigmatic. And the first may be thought of as a horizontal line. Here, one word is associated with another through contiguity. The second as a vertical line where meanings can be substituted one for another. Through his study of aphasia, a language disorder resulting from memory loss. So, aphasia is a language disorder resulting from memory loss. Jacobson extends this model to metaphor and metonymy. Thus, the language disorder acts on the two axes of language in different ways, so that those suffering from a continuity disorder tend to use substitution, that is metaphor, and those suffering from the similarity disorder tend to use association, that is metonymy. So, in Jacobson's words, metaphor is alien to the similarity disorder and metonymy to the continuity disorder. Jacobson's point is that some forms of writing use one or the other mode predominantly. Romantic and modernist poetry primarily uses metaphor, and the realist novel uses metonymy. So, magic realism again subverts the mainly metonymic axis of the narrative discourse or the novel form, as does the postmodernist. In the modes of modern writing, 1977, and the modern criticism and theory, 1988, David Lodge discusses aspects of Jacobson's theories. So, a lot about, vivid discourse about metaphors and metonymy. So, a lot to learn from and a lot to take notes on as well. That's really important, I guess. So, please keep it at, keep taking some good notes as well. And thank you for keeping the comments section so lively and filled with love. So, that's really amazing. And so, kind of you kings and queens of Palace of Words. So that's important. And then from the metaphor and metonymy, we also get to the metaphysical. There's a metaphysical poet, John Donne. So, a lot to read from him. Very important as far as your master's syllabus is concerned. So, let's, read about metaphysical now. What is metaphysical? Anything that you can think of, anything that comes to your mind about metaphysical? So let's delve deeper into what metaphysical basically is. So let's see, what metaphysical is. So metaphysical here, it's as suffix to the Greeks after the Aristotle's works on physics. So a term now generally applied to a group of 17th century poets, chiefly Donne, Carew, George Herbert, Crashaw, Henry Vaughan, Marvel Cleveland, and Cowley. It appears that one of the first to use the term was William Drummond of Hawthornden in a letter written to Arthur Johnston in the 1630th century. In his Discourse of the Original and the Progress of Satire, published in 1692, Dryden said to Donne, he affects the metaphysics not only in his satires, but in his amorous verses, where nature only should reign, and perplexes the minds of the fair sex with nice speculations of philosophy. Later Johnson, in his Lives of the Poets, published in 1779 to 81, established the term more or less permanently as a label. Johnson wrote somewhat disapprovingly of the Discordia concurs in metaphysical imagery and referred to heterogeneous idea, yoked by violence together. The marks of the 17th century metaphysical poetry were arresting and original images and conceits, showing a preoccupation with analogies between macrocosm and microcosm, wit, ingenuity, dexterous use of a colloquial speech, considerable flexibility or rhythm and meter, complex themes, both sacred and profane, a liking for a paradox and dialectical argument, a direct manner, a caustic humor, a keenly felt awareness of mortality, and a distinguished capacity for elliptical thought and tersely compact expression. But for all their intellectual robustness, the metaphysical poets were also capable of refined delicacy, gracefulness, and deep feeling, passion as well as wit. The following example in Marvel's The Definition of Love. So here is, a very important poem, The Definition of Love by Marvel, and it is a metaphysical poem. Let's read it and see, what it has in store. So, Marvel's The Definition of Love. My love is of a birth as rare as this for object strange and high. It was begotten by despair upon impossibility. Magnanimous despair alone could show me so divine a thing, where feeble hope could never have flown, but vainly flapped its tinsel wing. And yet I quickly might arrive where my extended soul is fixed. But fate does iron wedges drive, and always crowds itself betwixt. For fate with jealous eye does see two perfect loves, nor lets them close. Their union would her ruin be, and her tyrannic powers depose, and therefore her decrees of steel us as the distant poles have placed. Though love's whole world on us doth wheel, not by themselves to be embraced. Unless the giddy heaven fall, and earth some new convulsion tear, and us to join the world should all be cramped into a planisphere. As lines so loves oblique may well themselves in every angle greet, but ours so truly parallel, though infinite can never meet. Therefore the love which us doth bind, but fate so enviously debars, in the conjunction of the mind and opposition of the stars. So this is very beautiful poem by Andrew Marvell. It's called The Definition of Love. Hope you might have loved it. Please comment down about its metaphysical conceits and the metaphysical elements that you found here. So, the metaphysicals have had a profound influence on the course of English poetry in recent years, thanks in great measure to the critical appreciations of Herbert Grierson, T.S. Eliot, J.B. Leishman, H.C. White, Rosamund Tuve, Kenneth Brooks, Louis March, George Williamson, and Helen Gardner. So we also have to got to know about conceits here. So yeah, metaphysical poetry is great, and yeah, I guess Dunn's poetry had been really amazing. We've read it in my master's course, and it's been a while now. It's been close to a decade now, and time flies literally. So I was in my master's back in 2016, so it's 2025 already, and ah, long time it has been. So, and it took me almost a decade to secure my PhD. So that's good, I guess. Yeah, had been up to something. So that is great again. That is hugely immaculate. That's something really important also. So that's how basically things keep happening. This is again a case. So yeah, it's nice, it's beautiful, it's magical again, altogether. So we'll be reading metaphysical poetry together, and I guess literature is so deeply intertwined, one thing leads on to another. So it's again a realm altogether, a lot of things right here. So this is, I guess, really important to just to have something specifically, created. So that's again nice. And I guess, let's keep revving and preparing, and let's keep doing things and loving literature with all our heart. It's so pleasing and peaceful also. And let's be regular in these evening sessions also, as it's the beginning today. But let's just get more deeply involved into it. So let's start our literary love affair, and let's take it places also, with constantly reading something and constantly keep getting better with it, I guess. Yeah, let's do that, let's make it happen. And here, yes, I guess. Um, let's see metastasis also. Like, there's a thing called metastasis. So let's just see what metastasis exactly is. So it's Greek, a changing. So a cursory treatment of a matter, a glossing over as if it were of no importance. So not paying any heed or importance to someone, a matter that's not really important. That's exactly what metastasis is. Alright, that is cool. So that's the magic of this brilliant book. You just order it today. It's called The Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory. It's by the Penguin Publishers. So, you know, it is a very good book, and it says that scholarly, succinct, comprehensive, and entertaining, an indispensable work of reference. The Times Literary Supplement says so. Just open it up, and it's written by J. Cuddon. It's revised by C.E. Preston. So, a very good book, good reference. So, a very good book again. It talks about literature in great detail. So, a lot to learn from it. That certainly is a thing. And I guess, yeah, let's keep taking the love for literature forward, and let's keep learning and loving literature with all its might. And here we have, a lot of aspects about it. So, it's by J. Cuddon. It's the fourth edition here. And let me read the synopsis for you of this great book. The Penguin Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory is firmly established as a key work of reference in the complex and varied field of literary criticism. Now, in its fourth edition, it remains the most comprehensive and accessible work of its kind and is invaluable for students, teachers, and general readers alike. So it gives definitions of technical terms, hamartia, I'm, zeugma, and critical jargon like aphoria, binary opposition, intertextuality, explores literary movements like neoclassicism, romanticism, vorticism, and schools of literary theory, feminist criticism, new historicism, structuralism, and it covers genres like the elegy, fableau, pastoral, and literary forms, haiku, ottava rima, sonnet, and it accomplishes cameo wonders of literary history, generosity, and urbanly compiled. The New York Times says that. So it's a very good book, good and a vivid book. So let's, also read it from cover to code here. The Penguin reference, the Penguin Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory. So let's see, what its preface reads like, just get started with the reading, what it has in store. So J.A. Cuddon was born in 1928. He was educated at, Douai School and at Brasenose College, Oxford, where after taking a degree he did postgraduate work on the concept of evil and the devil in medieval and Renaissance literature, as well as numerous essays, short stories, articles, contributions to encyclopedias, a dozen plays, and three libretti. He also published a number of novels, notably A Multitude of Sins, Testament of Iscariot, Acts of Darkness, The Six Wounds, and The Bride of Battersea, and two travel books, The Owl's Watch Song, A Study of Istanbul, and The Companion Guide to Czechoslovakia. A dictionary of literary terms, the basis of this work, was begun while he was on a fellowship at Cambridge in 1968 and was completed 7 years later. In 1980, he published a Dictionary of Sport and Games, a 2 million word account of most of the sports and games on the world since 5200 BC, which came out in paperback in 1981. He edited both the Penguin Book of Ghost Stories and the Penguin Book of Horror Stories in 1984, and James Hogg's The Private Memoirs and Confessions of a Justified Sinner in 1995. A compulsive traveler with a special interest in the Balkans and the Near East. His main recreations were going to the theatre, watching sport, and pursuing an amateur interest in zoology. J. A. Cuddon died in March 1996. In its obituary, the Times described him as one of the great polymaths of his day. Learned and erudite, he was. Always a pleasure to read. So that's so good, and that's about like the Penguins Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory by J. A. Cuddon. It's revised by C. Preston, and it's a good book basically to the Masters and Fellows of Magdalen College, Cambridge, and gratitude for their kindness and hospitality. Great, I guess, and let's keep reading it further. So this is a 1999 edition. That's so cool. Its first edition came in 1976, and then it is 1997 was the second edition. 1979 was the third edition, and I guess 1991 was the fourth. This is also the fourth edition. It came in 1991. 1999 it said basically, and yeah, different editions. 1998 it was, so it has acknowledgements, list of abbreviations, preface to the third edition by J. Cuddon, preface to the fourth edition by C. Preston, A to Z entries. It's a very good kind of book. Let's read it daily, let's make it a point that we'll assemble, we'll be reading it. There's some good acknowledgements also. Dylan Thomas, Vision Prayer. So let's see, what the preface to the third edition says, if we have started to read this wonderful book. So let's pledge to read this beautiful book cover to core. Let's make it like a literary paradiso for the kings and queens of Palace of Words, for the princes and princesses of Palace of Words. So it's a voluminous book, it's a very thick book and a very beautiful one also. So let's, read it daily. That bit by bit, we can read it, from random pages, because, every page tells, every page has something or the other to tell and state here. So let's now make it a ritual, and let's make it a promise that we'll meet up every day, we'll connect, and then accordingly we'll study the literary terms and literary theory, and let's make it like a habit. Let's connect, and let's see how far we can take our love for literature, right? Let's make it happen. Let's do that. Let's see how far we can go, and how far we can take this passion further from here. So let's see what the preface of the third edition says. As is usual in the making of anything, one of the main problems at the outset is compiling this dictionary was to decide what to put in and what to omit. In the first place, it is not easy to decide what a literary term really is, because by most standards, it is a vague classification. Epic is one, hexameter is, and so is elegy. But are pornography, patter, song, and apocrypha. In the shorter Oxford Dictionary, the main definition of literary runs thus: of or pertaining to, or of the nature of literature, polite learning, or books and written compositions, pertaining to that kind of written composition which has value on account of its qualities of form. If we accept this as a working indication of what is meant by literary, then what is to be done about the terms, and there are many, used by printers and compositors? What about the language of grammarians and the proliferating terminology of linguisticians. Most of all of these are related, however, tenuously in some cases to the literary and to literature. After a good deal of deliberation on these matters, I decided to be judiciously selective and include a few terms of printers, grammarians, philologists, and linguisticians. So, for instance, I have included quarto and folio, but left out line block and galley. Paragraph and loose and periodic sentence are in. Supine and declension are not. Kenemy and morpheme are in. Diphthong and labial are not. Another poser was whether to include all literary terms from all or most languages and literatures and to provide illustrations and examples, but this would surely have seemed like assuming the function of the encyclopedist. The greatly length, lengthened the book. In any case, some terms are so obscure and rare as to be of interest only to the specialist. What I have endeavored to do then is to provide a serviceable and fairly comprehensive dictionary of those literary terms which are in regular use in the world today. Terms in which intelligent people may be expected to have some interest and about which they may wish to find out something more. If by any chance they do not know or have forgotten what a haiku is, or verso tronco, or how blue stockings came to be so named, then I hope that this dictionary will provide them with the basic information. So, very wonderfully framed and very wonderfully said again. I say fairly comprehensive because any work of orismology is bound to be limited by the author's reading and knowledge. No man or woman can be expected to have read even a tenth of everything. I'm familiar with classical, European, Slavonic, and Near Eastern literatures and have some knowledge on the literatures of North America and of Commonwealth nations. But my knowledge of Oriental literatures and those of Spanish America and South America is limited. There are, therefore, inevitably considerable gaps. Most of the terms are drawn from Greek, Latin, English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, Russian, Arabic, Japanese, Old French, Old Provincial, and Old Norse. A few are Serbian, Chinese, Persian, Turkish, Welsh, or Korean. 12 main categories can be distinguished at the outset as follows. So some very important technicalities about the book that it benefits us, I guess this should be read. Technical terms, example I'm, pentameter, metonymy, ottava rima. Forms, example sonnet, villanelle, limerick, tanka, clarihu. Genres or kinds, example pastoral, elegy, fableau, martin, conte. Technicalities, example pivot word, tenor and vehicle, communication, hearsay, aesthetic distance. Groups, schools, and movements, example played, Parnassians, Pre-Raphaelites, School of Spencer. Well-known phrases, example willing suspension of disbelief, negative capability, discordia concors, in medias res, quod semper, quod oblique. Isms, example realism, primitivism, Platonism, plagiarism, structuralism, Orientalism. Motifs or themes, example ubi, sunt, carpe diem, forced theme, leitmotiv. Personalities, example scop, jongleur, villain, gracioso, gustler. Modes, attitudes and styles, example dolls, still nuovo, irony, Marinism, grotesque, sentimental comedy. Objects or artifacts, example Coranto, holograph, manuscript, gadget, buskin or book. And the concepts, example sincerity, the sublime, concrete, universal, noble, savage, and decorum. So noble savage is an oxymoron also. So these 12 categories account for a fair proportion of literary terms, but there are scores which do not belong to any particular family or phylum, and any kind of taxonomical approach soon breaks down as one begins to classify. The following haphazard list suggests the difficulty of satisfactory division. Abstract, Bell's letters, brief censorship, forgery, free tags, pyramid, hamartia, inspiration, juvenilia, grub street, palindrome, quotation titles, to mention no others. So very vivid book, very beautifully written, having all the wonderful aspects here. So that was again great and brave about this fact. And let's take it further ahead. The plan of the dictionary is simple. It is alphabetical and runs from AB theatre, though it would have been more suitable to start with ab ovo to zeugma, and so to speak from epic to limerick. Each term is given a brief description or definition. In some cases, but by no means always, when I thought it might be helpful and or of interest, I give some brief etymology to the term. This is particularly necessary when a term comes from one thing but now denotes another. For instance, the Spanish estribillo, the word signifies little stirrup, being the diminutive of estribo, stirrup. It here denotes a refrain or chorus, also a pet word or phrase. And in a theme, verse or stanza, or from 2 to 4 lines of a villancico. And there is more to it than that. Fit, a division of a poem, a canto or stave, and slang are other interesting examples. So, this book has a lot to offer. Many indications of origin are added in brackets. Where it was not possible to do this in a simple fashion, I have shown the history at greater length within the definition of the term. Often, this description explains the etymology and what the term denotes. For literary forms and genres, I have provided a resume of origins, history, and development, and I have also provided details of notable examples and distinguished practitioners. I have not included bibliographies. To have done so would have been to lengthen the book by perhaps a third as much again, but where appropriate, I have referred to the classic work on a particular theme or subject. Example C.S. Lewis's The Allegory of Love, E.O. Lovejoy's The Great Chain of Being, Maud Bodkin's archetypal patterns in poetry. I would have liked to provide an example in full to illustrate every poetic form and genre. Example rondo, ode, elegy, lyric, but this was not feasible either. I would also have liked to include a quotation for every kind of metrical scheme, but this again would have expanded the book inordinately. It would have entailed quoting in at least 16 different languages, and this would have required translation in many instances. Moreover, it would have involved using seven alphabets: Greek, Japanese, Hebrew, Arabic, Cyrillic, Sanskrit, and Chinese, in addition to the Roman. Thus, in the interests of simplicity and brevity, I have settled, whenever possible, for a quotation in English verse. Apropos versification, I am obliged to mention the matter of terms used in classical prosody. Miscellaneous hierophants have pointed out that classical prosody, its systems and classifications, bear little relationship to English verse. This may well be so, but we have inherited the terms, as have other nations and languages. They have been in use for some hundreds of years, and it will be found that the vast majority of poets have a very thorough knowledge and understanding of them. So yes, it has all these wonderful aspects in the book. I guess we should just get ahead, get started, and we should get the most of this wonderful book. It will surely help us delve into English literature more, get an instance, an idea about English literature, and help us secure our GRF as well. So let's begin, let's read it further. So, moreover, if in doubt about their utility, one might ask, is it easier to say or write an iambic pentameter or a line of verse consisting of 5 feet with a rising rhythm in which the first syllable of each foot is unstressed and the second stressed? The Greeks, in fact, did have a word for almost everything, and we have inherited these terms whether we like them or not. And it seems to me much simpler to understand and use them rather than to pretend they do not exist or find verbose alternatives. Some entries were peculiarly difficult to condense, and none more so than novel. The chief problem here was what to include out of the thousands of possible examples. In the end, I decided to go by that principle which guided me throughout the making of the dictionary, and to include only those writers whose books I am familiar with and which have seemed to me to be of particular merit. Naturally enough, the selection must often coincide with what, in all probability, most other people would choose. Some novelists have to go in whether you like them or not, because the general consensus over the years has confirmed that their novels are outstanding or at any rate of notable quality. On the whole, as far as the novel is concerned, I have mentioned most of those who I believe are major novelists, and I have provided a selection of minor novelists. Inevitably, the treatment of the novel, like the treatment of travel books, short stories, detective stories, spy, ghost, and horror stories has involved long lists. So, very deep and divine dictionary of English literature is something that we all learn from, and we'll all definitely be, greatly benefited by this. I have some misgivings about the lists, but I have kept them fairly detailed in order to be fair, as it were, and also in the hope that the browser or the reader may encounter things that they have not met before or which they have forgotten existed. For instance, the works of some authors of distinction have unhappily sunk, leaving few traces. A mention of their neglected books may help to revive interest. With regard to works of fiction in general, I would have liked to include more evaluative comments, however brief, but to have done this would have been to double or even triple the length of the entries. As for dates, these, as we all know, can become boring. On the other hand, their absence can be frustrating. Accordingly, I have attempted a compromise. It seemed otiose to put in the dates of every author each time I refer to him or her, especially the famous. There are, for instance, many references to Aristotle, Plato, Horace, Dante, Chaucer, Sir Philip Sidney, Shakespeare, Molière, Dryden, Pope, Godey, Keats, Thomas Mann, James Joyce, W.B. Yeats, and T.S. Eliot, to cite only a handful. When referring to the famous, I assume that the reader is familiar with the approximate period in which they flourished. When referring to the not so famous but nonetheless important, example Archilochus, Lucian, Cavalcanti, Dunbar, Clement Marot, Clement Marot, Thomas Campion, Teak, Lady Winchelsea, James Sheridan Knowles, Theophile Gautier, Quiros, I have in many instances included some indication of their dates. In any event, it is clear, as a rule, when they lived, because I refer to the century, or I give the dates of their works whenever it is helpful or necessary to do so. The dates given refer, unless otherwise indicated in the text, to the first performance of plays, the first publication in one volume of prose works, and the first collected publication of poems. I diverge from this system only where it might be misleading. I have cited in English those titles of works which are less familiar in their original form to an English speaking reader. The dates given in such cases refer to the first publication in the original language. The whole dictionary is cross referenced so that the user can move easily from one entry to another. The references are the plumbing and wiring of the book. If, for example, you look up ballad, you will be referring to you will be referred to refrain, oral tradition, Homeric epithet, kenning, incremental repetition, naroden, pesm, broadside, folk song, lay, and narrative verse. So, very engaging and intriguing literary discourse. In the 20 years since this book was first published, a great deal has happened in the world of literature. Thousands of novels have been published in many languages, thousands of short stories, poems, biographies, and autobiographies, several hundred new plays have been produced, and so on. Since the early 1970s, the full impact of structuralist theory has been experienced and has been succeeded or added to by post structuralism, of which deconstruction is a vital part. Feminist criticism has burgeoned, so to a lesser extent have Marxist criticism and psychoanalytic and Freudian criticism. Reader response and reception theories have developed. Such concepts as narratology and grammatology have become established. Indeed, literary theory has proliferated, sometimes counterproductively, insofar as there are commentaries commentaries so that we approach that state of affairs so vividly predicted by E.M. Foster in his admonitory short story, The Machine Stops. A selected bibliography of books, essays, and miscellaneous discourses concerned with literary theory during the last 15 to 20 years in the major languages of the world may run to 500 or more entries. So, lots in store. We are up for, great love with literature. With the theories and the theories about theories have come a considerable number of what might be called technical terms. Example, aporia, deference, dissemination, écriture feminine, indeterminacy, intertextuality, logocentrism, meta-language, phallogocentrism, placid jouissance, readerly, writerly, supplement, QQV. In this revised and expanded edition, I have attempted a resume and clarification of these matters, which very often are extremely complex and not infrequently abstruse to the point of being arcane. To such an extent, in fact, that sometimes one is reminded of the lone scholars sniping at each other from the walls of learned periodicals. So, wonderful considerations are also made in the book. There's a lot to be considered, and, many aspects that primarily keep English literature in its utmost sanctity and, piety. However, the raison d'etre of a dictionary is I take it to provide information, be it commonplace or recondite. A decent dictionary of geography, for instance, will tell us what exfoliation, jungle, and karst are. It should also inform us about katabatic winds, poles, and diastrophism. So, in this edition, in response to quite a large number of letters, one from a man who requested a list of all the rare technical terms left out of earlier editions, I have included a good many esoteric technical terms and semi technical terms, plus information about important theatres and theatrical companies which have had a potent influence in the world of drama. I have also devoted a good deal of space to some of the more popular forms or modes. In earlier editions, there were no entries for ghost story or horror story. In view of the wide and apparently increasing interest in these, I have now included quite long accounts. The original entry for detective story was totally inadequate, and that has been much expanded. I have also expanded the entries on, for example, Gothic novel, limerick, nonsense, spy story, and thriller, and included entries for, among other things, censorship, literary forgery, literary prices, police procedural, Roman policer, and Westerner. So, very vivid details the book is capturing. So that's so good and wonderful an aspect about English literature, about literary terms and literary theory in general. So yes, let's jump further ahead. I should also add that as this is a personal book, I have occasionally spread myself with entries on subjects of particular interest to me. For example, conceit, dance macabre, the limerick, nonsense, primitivism, revenge tragedy, and table talk, to name but a few. But every author and reader has his or her favorite themes and subjects. It is probable that from time to time I have allowed my opinions and perhaps some prejudices an easy rein. But when one has read many thousands of volumes of verse, plays and fiction, essays, discourses, sermons, courtesy books, encyclopedias, novel, Festschriften, tracts and interpretations, and what not, perhaps one is entitled to ventilate a few opinions. They are unlikely, I feel, to do any harm in such circumstances, and they may have the beneficial effect of provoking argument, comment, or disagreement. I have also taken the liberty of contributing a few items of my own. Firstly, a double dactyl verse under that heading. Secondly, an example of synthetic rhyme under that heading. And thirdly, three neologisms, namely bureaucrat, suffragette, and verbocrat, all under neologism. At any rate, I put in a modest claim for having devised these ghost words. I wrote above that this is a personal book, but naturally, in the course of making it, I have consulted a number of friends, and I would like to take this opportunity of thanking them for giving me the benefit of their knowledge and advice. They are Mrs. Hewood, Margaret J. Miller, Mr. John Basing, Dr. Derek Brewer, Mr. Paul Craddock, Mr. Vincent Cronin, Professor Ian Jack, Mr. Kevin Jackson, Dr. Harry Judge, Mr. Paul Moreland, Mr. T.R. Salmon, Mr. Philip Warnett, Professor and Mrs. Singmaster, Mr. and Mrs. McNally, Dr. David Stockton, Mr. Hardcastle, Mr. Clive Wilmer, Mr. Michael Charlesworth, Mr. Alastair Ogilvy, Mr. Colin Chambers, Mr. Steve Gooch, Mr. Andrew Brown, Mr. Stuart Thompson, Mr. Harry Jackson, Mr. Barry Dewsbury, and Mr. Kenneth Lowes. I remain much indebted to my original editors in the Language Library series, the late Professor Simon Potter and the late Eric Partridge. Professor Potter showed much patience and gave me the unstinting help of his wide learning and experience. Eric Partridge, often by means of his famous postcards, sustained my sometimes flagging spirits with help, praise, and encouragement. I am also much indebted to Mr. Martin Wright, who devoted many hours of checking the manuscript of this edition and to making suggestions for improving it, and to Mr. Michael Rossington, who also gave much time and thought to many entries. Finally, my thanks also to my current editors for their help, Mr. Ellen Shipton, Mr. Philip Cartwright, Miss Helen Jaffrey, and Miss Caroline Richmond. So this is by J.A. Cuddon, and a very good preface to this edition has been written. And with this, we just start Basically, the book is now up and out, and it has very good entries. Like it starts with Abbey Theatre. So we are in very good rhythm of reading, and let's continuously do it. And I guess we'll be doing something really amazing with keeping this up, keeping this alive. So let's be at it. Let's give it our all. And it has now started. This is from A, like the AB Theatre. So let's see, what basically AB Theatre is about, right? So let's just make it happen. So AB Theatre, and it's so beautiful an exercise. I feel as if I'm contributing to English literature. I'm contributing to the love for English literature. I've literally got goosebumps saying it, and I guess let's do it. Let's make it a forum to discuss English literature in greater detail so that you can take some notes. And it's about valuing time the right way. Basically, if we'll be valuing it as maybe during the morning hours, afternoon hours, you can come to our offline centers. But steadily, I guess, during the late hours, you can join us online. So that the connect is built wonderfully, and we're all working towards it. And we just, get better with this art, and really contribute to literature, and we secure our JRF. That's the prime goal. So let's keep at it, let's keep working, let's keep giving it our all, so that we can really add up to something really valuable, and we can do it with all the might and all the energy that we have in our heart. So very wonderful preface we read to the Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory by J.A. Cuddon. It's so beautifully done. It talks about all the important aspects. So that is nice. And let's keep reading it on a regular basis. Let's keep propagating the word further. And let's also start, since we have started with now to AB Theatre. So let's see, let's just, dig deep into AB Theatre. So, the AB Theatre, the most famous of Irish theatres and one of the most famous in the British Isles, is not in Europe. It was the center of the Irish dramatic movement. So, basically, have your pen and paper with you. The main idea is that you basically, revise. That is the real deal. So that you're always up and you're equipped with it, and you are really catering to quality. You're really catering to remembering it for the longer term. That is the main goal, right? So let's always be at it. Let's be really vivid, and let's be working. So about AB Theatre now. The aim of the movement was to present Irish plays on Irish subjects performed by Irish actors. The building itself was the result of a conversion of the old theatre of the Mechanics' Institute in Abbey Street and the old city morgue next to it. Its creation was made possible through the munificence and tea of Annie Horniman in 1862-1937, who was later the pioneer of the Manchester School. It was opened in 1904, and in the next 85 years was to bring forward plays by almost all Irish dramatists of any note. Apart from Annie Horniman, the main moving spirits of the Abbey were W. B. Yeats, J. M. Synge, and Lady Gregory, plus the Fay brothers. The first plays presented were on Bailey's Strand and Kathleen Nee Hoylehan by Yeats and Spreading the News by Lady Gregory. Later came Since the Playboy of the Western World, 1907, which caused riots because Irish morality was offended by a reference in the text to a woman's shift, that is, a chemise. The fortunes of the theatre declined somewhat with the removal of Annie Horniman's financial support. Singe died in 1909, and Yeats resigned as a result of a dispute with Lady Gregory, who was to continue until she retired in 1928. Among distinguished Irish playwrights to have their plays produced at the Abbey in the earlier years were Pedraig Colum (1881 to 1972), Saint John Grier Irwin (1883 to 1971), and Lennox Robinson (1886 to 1958), who was manager of the Abbey from 1910 to 1923. Apart from a short break, in which year he became director, after the First World War there were more financial troubles, which were partly relieved by three famous plays by C. O'Casey (1880 to 1964), namely Shadow of a Gunman (1923), Juno and the Peacock (1924), and The Plough and the Stars (1926). In 1925, the Abbey received a government grant and became the first state subsidized theatre in the English speaking world. After O'Casey's departure for England, the Abbey rejected the Silver Tazzy in 1928, and O'Casey was deeply offended. The theatre was sustained by a number of fine plays by George Shields in 1886 to 1949. There was also emphasis on plays in Gaelic. The theatre burned down in 1951. A new opened in 1966. See the Celtic Revival and the Celtic Twilight. So, amazing facts about AB Theatre, and this book totally is a treasure trove. So, I believe we shall really get ahead with it, and let's do it on a daily basis. Let's make it kind of very, very religious a thing, very ceremonial a thing to assemble at around this hour, read the snippets from English literature and benefit and achieve our JRF goal and crack the net of December 2025. So let's do that, and here now, okay, yeah, the title is mirrored. Thank you very much, Prikshit, for joining in. And yes, I guess it's basic science, it's kind of mirrored. But thank you very much for this keen observation, and thank you for tuning in. So basically, at Palace of Words, here we are catering to a net JRF batch called NETure, and we are just reading English literature, delving into the deeper details of it, and then accordingly, going forward with it so that we can do something digitally for the students for our both hybrid batches online as well as offline. So we are here discussing literature, and I guess, yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. It really matters a lot, and it's your support and love that really keeps us motivated and that really keeps us going. So kind of you, Parikshit, and it's been a while. I guess we really need to catch up, and I really need to check upon what you are up to. You're one creative individual, and I will surely be exploring your channel. I know great content there, and you might have been celebrating life, and you might have been doing all the things nice, Parikshit. and we're just reading like this dictionary of literary terms and literary theory, and it's a very good and a vivid discourse about literature. So this is the main idea, and we're trying to cater to like this daily kind of a revision. We are doing it early morning also. It's called the, the Brahmuhurit batch that we are catering to, and there's a batch coming up next. It's called the Parvataruhi batch. It'll be purely for the competitive English. And then we have this batch called NETure. So it is purely for securing JRF in the NET December examination. And we are doing our bit, of course. So let's see how it goes. And it's already a vivid kind of a journey altogether. Like it's I'm already loving the process and loving the process of learning and getting better and just showering our love of English literature and painting the world purple with English literature. That is the main idea. This painting the world purple is my own idiom that I've created. It basically means to just shower your love everywhere, and as it's called, paint the town red is for joy, for celebration. Paint the world purple is like showering your world everywhere. So let's do that with English literature too. And I'm certain we are going to take it places, and a lot more literary terms to be discovered. So we'll keep doing that, we'll constantly keep at it, and we'll just definitely make it one literary rendezvous, a literary paradiso for all the literature lovers, all the aspiring educators, aspiring professors of English literature. And let's create this revolution, and let's go ahead with this particular spirit to you know spread the literariness, spread the literary love, and read this. So we'll keep doing it cover to core, and we can also randomly read through it. It's a very good and a vivid book basically. So a lot to study from, a lot to be done. So I guess a lot can happen. So we'll keep at it. So there's this literary term called platitude. So let's just see, let's read further what platitude is. A dull, commonplace statement, a trite and obvious remark. Many proverbial expressions and idioms have become platitudes. For example, you cannot have your cake and eat it. So it's a dull, commonplace statement. That's called the platitude. So I guess a lot of learning coming up, and even it's a good revision for me because I still remember back in the day and age when I used to be like a college student. I used to be doing my bachelor's or my master's. So I used to romanticize literature to the greatest of the extent. I used to be always reading literature. I used to be inspiring by some quotation, or I used to be inspired by some literary work. I used to write poetry. I used to write some short stories, and it was always, it was fun. It hardly seemed like work, and same as for all the literateurs across the globe. Like when they were crafting plays, they were writing poems, so they were just having fun. They were enjoying life, they were having a ball, they were making the most of it. So that's the main idea, that is basically the real deal, to enjoy life, to make the most of it, to have fun. Because if you're totally engrossed into it and you put your heart and soul into it, so you grow. World is your oyster then, so you're bound to grow, you're bound to get better in that kind of a stride. So this is one real deal that we are eyeing at, that we are aspiring to create. So let's make it happen, and let's make it one daily ordeal. Let's make it a ritual and a tradition to join in and talk literature. So let's keep at it, and we'll be having a ball of time with this. For about it, I'm really certain that we are going to take our passion places. So there's one again a literary term. It's called dissociation of ideas. Dissociation of ideas. So let's read it further. Let's see what it can totally mean. The dissociation of ideas. It means that in 1901, Remy de Gaumont published La Culture des Idees, which contained an essay called Dissociation des Idees, in which he put forward the point of view that it was necessary to avoid the unquestioning acceptance of ideas and associations of ideas which have become everyday commonplaces. So I guess they're very important to just not take the idea which doesn't serve you. So that's exactly what the dissociation of ideas talk about. So this has been vivid. Yeah, it's been about close to 2 hours now on this stream, and it seems really intellectually stimulating, literally stimulating. So in a way, we have a long way to go. That is for sure. That is one thing that goes without saying. And let's keep catering to this literariness and this literary love. Let's take this passion forward. Let's take this spirited enthusiasm, a long way. And let's create a volume of hours so that, by the end of it all, we have like a dictionary of literary terms and, the literary theory of our own. So, pledge to writing, taking good notes, because that is really going to serve you in your examination. So, this really has to be like a thing. So, just keep it at. And let's do it daily, and let's follow this Kaizen technique, the Japanese technique of achieving bigger projects by breaking it into smaller steps and making it possible and making it happen. Because I guess that's the sure short way of getting things done. So they should be at the forefront, they should be there, and this exuberant enthusiasm and this undeterring spirit. Let's go on and let's crack the December JRF Net 2025. Let's make it happen by all means. And let's also see and let's search for more literary terms. And even as in the preface of J. Cuddon's The Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory, we read that it's about being selective. Literature is vast, so it's important about what not to study or what doesn't deserve our attention for the longest time. So this also has to be at the fore. This is also something we have to take into consideration, that we don't have to do that for the longest time. We need not to study that for the longest hours. So let's also cater to that aspect. Let's cater to that important part. And then let's see what we have. So basically there's a literary term called epigraph. So any clue about what epigraph can be? Let's see, let's read and let's further see what an epigraph is. So four meanings may be distinguished. There are four meanings of this term epigraph. An inscription on a statue, stone, or a building. The other is the writing a legend on a coin, or a quotation on the title page of a book, or a motto, heading a new section or paragraph. So epigraph has different meanings altogether. So it could either be an inscription on a statue or a stone or a building. It could be the writing or the legend on a coin, a quotation on the title page of a book, or a motto simply, heading a new section of the paragraph. So yes, epigraph have many aspects, many things to cater to and many things to deal. So then we also have an epilogue. Epilogue is also very important a literary term. So yes, any clue about epilogue? My kings and queens of Palace of Words. What is an epilogue according to you? So here in the epilogue, basically the three meanings may be distinguished. A short speech to be delivered at the end of a play. It often makes some graceful and witty comment on what has happened and asks for the approval, if not the indulgence, of the audience, or the end of a fable where the moral is pointed, or the concluding section or a paragraph of any literary work, sometimes added as a summary, but more often as an afterthought. So the opposite of epilogue is prologue. So basically, it's about something that sums up, like a text or maybe a poem. So that is epilogue that comes at the end. And it's good how wonderfully, like, all the aspects of any term are discussed in the particular dictionary of literary terms and literary theory. So that's very good for us. So let's also get to basic literary theories. There's a theory called the theater of silence. Basically, it could be a term, it could be literary theory. The theater of silence. So let's see, let's dig deeper and let's see what the theater of silence has in store for us. So it is a theory of drama, more accurately called the theater of the unspoken, theater de l'Inexprime, devised by Jean Jacques Bernard from 1888 to 1972 in the 1920s. In his view, dialogue was not sufficient. Equally important was what characters could not and did not say. Though this may always have been obvious, and certainly has been since Bernard's experiments, very few dramatists had deliberately exploited the possibilities of silence before. Chekhov is a clear exception. Bernard's influence has been considerable. Some of his main works are Les Feux qui reprennent mal in 1921, Martin in 1922, Les Princes des Auteurs in 1924, Yemen Peen in 1926. Among recent English dramatists, the master of the prolonged pause and the sustained silence is unquestionably Harold Pinter. So this is also one important idea from your examination point of view, that who among the recent English dramatists is the master of the prolonged pause and the sustained silence. It's Harold Pinter. It's unquestionably Harold Pinter, especially in the landscape and silence in 1970. So you have to see the subtext also here, and it's good that how wonderfully this books is it's a cross reference as mentioned by the author also, that every now and then you'll be moving to, like, different aspects, different things all together, that okay, let's refer to this particular part, let's refer to this particular section of the book, and it's a treasure trove. Let's read it cover to core, let's assemble daily, and let's make the most of it. That is the real deal. That is the main idea of assembling here. And I'll be more regular now, be it early morning, be it at the evenings. So let's make it a reality. Let's make it possible, because only then we'll able to cater to quality. We'll actually achieve our goal of cracking the JRF in December 2025. Let's make it happen, and let's hitch our wagon to a star, and let's leave no stones unturned to achieve this great milestone. And let's keep loving literature. That is the real deal, I guess. That is at the core, that is at the crux and the forefront. So let's make it happen. And with consistency, with diligence, with daily practice, it is possible. Everything comes to the fore, and it is going to happen. We are going to manifest and realize it. And let's keep creating this forum as a very interactive one, where we can basically interact and we can talk about it in greater detail. So that has to be the idea, right? That we take it places, and we take our energy places, and we also see as to what can be done, what can be done in the greater spectrum of things, the broader spectrum of things. So consistency will be at the fore. We have to be really crazy about it. In a way, we have to get our JRF anyhow. We have to work for it. There has to be like a very planned strategy also. Like, we know the syllabi, we know the plan of action. We really need to chalk it out into daily goals, that this is our daily goal, this is the number of chapters that we need to do, or this is going to be the main thing, this is going to be the real deal. I guess only then magic happens, only then we can make it a successful collaboration. And at NETure, let's strive for it, and let's keep working. Let's keep having each other's back, so that we can motivate each other, and we can really do wonders with it, because that will really help us. That will really kind of help us. That will help us grow. That will help us get a better insight and idea about it all. And we can achieve it, of course, with the plethora of ideas online, with a lot of notes, with over information rather. So be very selective about what we are studying. What is it that we exactly need to know, and what is there at the forefront, that needs our attention, that needs to be discussed. So this has to be our plan of action for the time to come. And net JRF December 2025 is just going to happen. We are going to manifest and realize it. And let's give it all our energy, let's give it all our heartfelt enthusiasm, and let's really secure it with all the might, with all the energy that we have. And obviously, let's make it possible, and let's leave a good trail for the others to follow also. Like, all the aspirants, they should know, all the literati should be aware about the magic of hard work, magic of devotion and smart work, rather hard work. So we'll be really going on with it extremely smartly. We will give it our all, and we will, work with love, we'll work with diligence, because, that's the sure short way of getting our JRF. And let's make it our first and the last attempt, that this is the deadline. Let's have the pirates mentality to achieve it, so that we are totally focused about it. We know our goal, we know the struggle behind it, we know the magic of that journey, and this will really make us better. This will really empower us, And doing something that we love wholeheartedly is so magical, and there's utmost divinity in this idea of doing what you love and loving what you do. So this will really be the main foundation of our work at NETure, and let's really connect. And I'll be waiting for all the offline students. Just let's assemble at Palace of Words, and let's be there with all the might, all the energy, all the love, all the life, and chasing this goal at our entirety, giving it our all. That needs to be there, that energy has to be there, that charisma, that spunk, that magnetism, and the charm. And then nothing will stop us, of course. Being well prepared about the syllabus, being regular about it, taking notes, and just basics need to be followed. Also, one important aspect is the previous year questions. Thoroughly checking the previous year questions has to be one important initiative that needs to be taken. We have to do that at all costs. The previous year questions need our attention. That needs to be constantly checked upon. That really needs to be worked up, and that really needs to be on our to-do list. Because now we'll get a nature of questions, what kind of questions to expect, because a lot of chronological questions are coming up, and we really need to be good at it. We need to prepare accordingly. Thankfully, there's no negative marking in the net exam, so we have to attempt all the questions. We have to secure the higher merit at our paper one. So that would be, I guess, the goal. And let's be the best, let's give it our all, and let's make it happen, as we have 100% success ratio. So once you are into the course, you're going to make it. And we have a 9999 fee, like that's rupees 9999 fee, 9999 rupee fee for the NETure batch, and that's a one-time fee till selection. So let's make it happen with all our might, with all the energy that we have. Let's give it our all, and let's totally make it a reality. Right? We should go all in for the preparations, and we should connect daily. Like sincere prayers that we have this connect, and we are connecting on a daily basis. So this will really help us. This will also keep us inspired and motivated that hey, we are just assembling on a daily basis, and something magical is going to happen. So let's cater to that. I guess this will really help us. This will really help us endure. And I guess, let's just be helping and encouraging each other. This would really be nice and vivid, and this will really set a tone for the time to come. So, yes, let's make it happen, let's make it a reality. And this will surely give us the good momentum, and let's expect that 100% success ratio from NETure, from the Palace of Words NETure. And let's just make it happen. Yes, let's just go all in and give it our all. That has to be like the main idea. That has to be the forefront of NETure batch at Palace of Words. Let's just make it happen. And you can come for our offline centers. We are based in Shimla, we are based in Solin, we are based in Chandigarh too. You can come for the inquiries, you can come for the enrollments, and take this moment, take this revolution forward. Take it places with your enthusiasm, with the energy and the great spirit you have. So let's, make it happen, let's make it global thing, let's take it further ahead. So this will really help us, this will really help us secure our GRF this year in December. And let's value time. Let's utilize it with all our might, with all the energy, and let's make GRF reality, and let's make it happen, and let's just be well prepared for it in the time to come. Let's be well aware about the kind of syllabus, and let's also talk about daily MCQs, and let me keep sharing good study material with you online, which will really help you prepare better, right? This needs to be the main idea, this needs to be the agenda behind it that will really thrive and flourish you in the time to come, right? Let's just make it a reality, let's make it happen. And yeah, taking good care of your health is one important element, since you're preparing for an exam, be well rested, take adequate sleep, and stay healthy, have optimum nutrition, and do an activity that refreshes you or relishes you. It could be like taking a walk, jogging, cycling, gymming, working out, playing a sport, whatever makes you alert, happy, healthy. Please do that, and then accordingly prepare and fulfill your daily goals. Now also plan and structure your preparations beautifully, that if you have a plan of action, you have a to-do list for a day, ensure that you complete it by all means. There are certain tests that will be constantly circulated in your student group, so make it a reality, just make it happen. That is the goal, that is at the core of our Palace of Words NETure. And we will make it happen, of course. We'll leave no stones unturned, as I've already assured you. It's all karma at the end of the day. It's the effect and the effort that really helps us soar, and that really, makes us achieve this. So we'll be doing it by all our might and the means, and let's make it a reality, and let's have a grand celebration once we do it. And let's have, I guess, the greatest celebration. Let's have a great victory march past. Let's have a great dance, and let's have, a ball of time with this. And for now, let's be totally focused on learning, totally focused on giving it our all, because that is the core, that is what the world demands, that is the need of an hour. So let's do it that ways. Let's give it our all. Let's be having a very firm conviction of achieving it. As it said, all the things are created twice, once in our minds and then in reality. So let's make it happen. The future professors of English literature, the educators, the mentors, so the lovers of English literature, let's paint the town purple with NETure English literature at Palace of Words. Let's give it our all. Let's be totally devoted to the cause. That is what matters most. And let's make this online forum also a very safer and a secure space to get better, to get more enriched. And yeah, let's make it a reality, let's make it happen, of course. Let's give it our all, and let's succeed, eventually. Effort itself, a sincere effort is itself a reward. So let's strive for that sincere effort, and let's just give it our all, whatever is at hand, whatever we have, and whatever we can deliver. Because that is the real deal, deliver and deliver with all the might, all the energy, and all the heart, all our inquisitiveness, exuberance, and the gusto that we have. Let's go all in. Let's jump in, to this wonderful celebrations of English literature, NET JRF. And let's all secure our JRF this December 2025. Let's keep working for it. Let's keep working with all the might, all the energy that we have. And let's, spread our wings with nature at Palace of Words. Let's give it our all and all the heartfelt prayers that we embark on this journey fearlessly and with all the dedication, all the devotion, all the divinity we have etched within our own selves. And with nature at Palace of Words, making your JRF dream a reality. So, together, let's also strive to build our Palace of Words bigger, better, and more divine. And let's give it our all. Let's prepare well. Let's love literature. Let's celebrate literature. And let's paint the town purple with literature. So, yes, let's get all in. And a divine treat about it, divine devotion about it. And let's have this 100% result, and let's just give it our all. So together let's strive to build our palace of words bigger, better, and divine. Har Har Mahadev.